We are rolling.
Good morning. Welcome back to the conversation. This is Pointing Out the Obvious. This is our news and politics webcast, our daily take on what's buzzing today. I'm your host, Patrick Russell, and over there is my very opinionated producer, Veronica. Together, we're here to quip and quiver through today's headlines, searching for the real, no matter how deep in the swamp we need to go. Well, it's a somber Hump Wednesday today with our story that we chose. Unfortunately, we were right, weren't we? As far as a tragedy was going to take place before the year end, and that happened in a place called Oxford, Michigan, at a high school where a 15-year-old brought to school his daddy's handgun, and unfortunately, for reasons unknown, opened fired on his classmates at school, resulting in the deaths of 3 teenagers and 8 other victims who are suffering injuries. And we hope collectively that the healing occurs fast and that the families are able to pick up the pieces of this tragedy and move on. You know, when I read stories like this, Veronica, you know we've talked about it many times, my stomach just drops because I always think about, as a parent to teenage girls, if something were to ever happen to either one of them, how my entire life would cease to exist having meaning, how the shattering of all my goals and my willingness to fight would just be completely evacuated from my soul. So I can't even imagine how torturous the pain must be for the families that having to endure the loss of their loved ones, of course, during the holidays, which we know means that forevermore, any individual that had been touched by these 3 young people that had lost their life to this moment of anger will always look to the holidays as a period of sadness. From a younger generation's perspective, Veronica, first, do you foresee having even more? Is this still just the tip of the iceberg because that's just the kind of violence-separated society and life we live in? And second, from a younger generation's perspective, beyond gun control, put that to the shelf for just a second. What can we do as a community, as a society, as a country to bring more hope to our younger generation that might feel isolated and separated and is allowing that cabin fever generated by COVID-19 just to overwhelm all their better senses? What can we do to help? Your thoughts?
Oh gosh, I wish I had the answer to that because I personally experienced, and this is one of the videos that I did in Spanish on my show. I experienced at some point in my life when I was growing up depression, right? But there's depression where it's clinical, and then there's depression where like everyone experiences, depression in a day, right? So I guess it is hard for me to understand how someone, it can be young, it can be old, can get to the point where, they just don't feel that their life is worth, right? And having to do all these crazy things, I cannot comprehend. My brain cannot imagine what the person is living, what the person is experiencing to get to that point. Now, I do believe that we as parents or as older people, we have to encourage our kids to be strong, to, since they're little, to make sure that they know that, they can do whatever they wish as long as it's in a good faith and stuff like that. Besides that, there's not much. There's millions of people, obviously, in the planet, and we cannot control everything that's happening around. But one thing that I do believe that it will make everything easier, even if we have to be at home 24/7, even if we have to be not able to leave normally again, everything comes through what we tell our kids. And I know this can sound kind of, cheesy. Yeah, go ahead and do it. No, but it is right? So whatever I feed my brain with, whatever I tell my kids, whatever I tell people around me, that matters. So, the thing is that I'm frustrated because we cannot fix everyone.
Right.
The only thing that we can do is make sure that as an adult, we tell younger people, especially now with social media, it's so crazy because they see all these things, and I can be telling my kid, hey, this is what you have to do, but and then on the other hand, maybe he's watching something that it's not supposed to be watched. So I have no idea how can we potentially fix this issue. How can we potentially encourage our kids to not be mentally depressed, mentally feeling that they're not appreciated, mentally feeling that they're scared. I don't know.
A very complicated issue, one that's very difficult to speak of fully because we don't know all the information and we don't have the entire story, the circumstances that led to this 15-year-old boy to feel so much anger and angst and separation from his fellow students that he felt like he needed to unleash that anger onto the world. I will say one thing that I believe is common sense. I think we need to do everything we can to eliminate bullying in all of its forms. If you see it, stop it. Because although it may not be the reason why this 15-year-old pulled out a gun and started shooting up his high school, I guarantee that it is the reason for many younger individuals who are out there, who are alone, who are feeling isolated, and are festering in their own seclusion because there's not enough helpers out there that are willing to stand up and say something to protect a weaker person. And I think more than ever now, in this society, in this country, to stay together as the healthy democracy we all hope it to be, we need to be our brothers and sisters keepers now more than ever. Your thoughts?
I do totally agree with you, but I also keep in mind that we cannot fix, I guess, the issue from that perspective because when I was in middle school, I remember being bullied in a way, for reasons that I don't remember now. But I never felt that those comments were affecting me because at home, my dad especially, not taking credits away from my mom, but my dad was always the one telling me, you can do it, you can do this, don't worry about it, as long as you can prove yourself, blah, blah, blah. So all these things. And then mentally, it didn't affect me to go to school and then potentially being bullied in certain things that I maybe used to do.
Well, because you were secure and confident in yourself before you got to school, which brings up the final point. Go ahead.
But now, see, the thing is that we have to start once again from home, inside what we teach our kids, because if we bully our kids at home, they're going to go to the world and they're going to be bullied and they're going to be like, whatever, it doesn't hurt me anymore. So probably we have to make them stronger. And I was bullied from my sister, my older sister, ever since I remember. Kind of playing around and making me feel bad and whatever, but it was playing around. But because of that, I was able not to get caught up with like, oh, she's a little fat. Oh, she's a little short. Oh, she's a little black. Oh, she's a little Mexican. I was not, that never hit me. So let's bully our kids at home. So to make sure that when they go up to the world, they don't think that should matter.
Final point that I have to make. From an older generation's perspective, I want to stand here and recognize that my kids' childhood is not my childhood.
Yeah.
I didn't have Instagram. I didn't have Facebook, TikTok. I didn't have this online ocean of opinions facing me every time I picked up my device, picked up my phone. True. My kids, our kids in the future will. And we have to recognize is that the danger of allowing our kids to be punished and bullied, even in an online apparatus, could affect the happiness and the enjoyment of this life, the fulfillment of this life for that little one that you care that much about. So please, and from my perspective, wherever you see the bullying occur, stand up, say something, stop it where you see it. It may stop something tragic from happening later down the road. Guys, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, but there is your opinion. Please don't just subscribe to this channel, even though we will be doing this back and forth on a daily basis, but lend your voice to the show to make it a whole lot more fun. Guys, remember, it doesn't matter if you lean to the right, it doesn't matter if you lean to the left, as long as you're treating the person in front of you kindly, you just made the world a better place. Happy Hump Wednesday, everybody.